Let me paint a picture for you. It's 1983. A 90-year-old woman named Rose Blumkin. Everyone calls her Mrs. B. She's sitting across from Warren Buffett. She doesn't have an MBA. She doesn't read Wall Street journals. She is, by her own admission, just a lady who sells carpets. Buffett asks her how she beats the big box stores. She leans in and whispers the secret. She says, "I buy cheap. I add the tiny markup. I tell the truth, and I send the customer home happy." By the end of that conversation, Buffett writes her a check for $60 million. No lawyers, no contracts, just a handshake. Why? Because Mrs. B understood money better than any Harvard professor ever could. And today, I'm going to show you how that same exact rule can save you thousands of dollars, whether you're investing in stocks, buying a car, or shopping for groceries. This is the Buffett rule, and it is simple enough for a 90-year-old carpet lady and powerful enough to make you a millionaire. Let's go. Rule 1, the mistake everyone makes. Big name on the building. They must know what they're doing. Warren Buffett calls this the institutional imperative. It's a fancy term for a dumb habit, the tendency to follow the crowd right off a cliff. Let me tell you a story. In 2005, Buffett made a famous bet. He bet $1 million against a bunch of hedge fund managers. Who are these people? These are the geniuses of Wall Street. Suits, skyscrapers, Ivy League, degrees. They drive Porsches. They have Bloomberg terminals. They trade all day long. Buffett said, "I bet the boring, simple S&P 500 index fund will beat your fancy, expensive hedge funds. Over 10 years, the hedge fund managers laughed. They said, "Warren, you're old. You don't understand modern finance. We have algorithms. We have quenches. We have PhDs." Buffett smiled and said, "We'll see." 10 years went by. What happened? The hedge funds tried everything. They traded. They panicked. They shorted. They leveraged. They charged huge fees. The result, the simple, boring index fund crushed them by more than 100%. Let me repeat that. A robot fund with no human thinking beat the best minds on Wall Street. Why? Because of friction. Every time a fancy fund trades, they pay fees to brokers. Every time they hire a smart analyst, you pay his salary. Every year, they charge you 2% for management and 20% of the profits. That's the famous 2 and 20. Meanwhile, the Buffett Rule Fund charges you 0.03%. That's it. Here's the math that'll make you angry. Sit down for this. Imagine you have $50,000 invested for 30 years. You don't touch it. You just let it grow at 9% a year, which is the historical average of the stock market. Scenario 1, you put it in a fancy hedge fund with a 2% annual fee. After 30 years, you end up with roughly $200,000. Scenario 2, you put it in a simple Buffett Rule Index fund with a 0.03% fee. After 30 years, you end up with roughly $380,000. Do you see that difference? $180,000. You just paid $180,000 for fancy. That is the cost of a house in many cities. That is a kid's college tuition. That is a decade of retirement. For what? For nothing. For a guy in a suit who lost to a robot? The Buffett rule says never pay for what you don't need. And you don't need genius. You need discipline. You need low fees. You need patience. That's it. That's the whole secret. But nobody wants to hear that. Because it's boring. And boring doesn't sell. Boring doesn't get likes on TikTok. Boring doesn't make headlines. But boring makes you rich. Slow and boring wins. Every single time. Rule 2. The circle of competence. And COK. So what exactly is the Buffett rule? It has a fancy Latin name. Arbitrage. But Buffett calls it something much simpler. The circle of competence. Here is the rule in one sentence. I do not try to jump over 7-foot bars. I look for 1-foot bars I can step over. That's it. Know what you know, and know what you don't know. Then stay in your lane. Most investors lose money because they try to be smart. They buy crypto they don't understand. They trade options based on a TikTok video. They buy a biotech stock because the ticker symbol looks cool. That is not investing. That is gambling. And the house always wins. Buffett once owned a railroad. Why? Because he understood railroads. He could look at a train and tell you how much it costs to run it per mile. He knew the business. He owned Dairy Queen. Why? Because he understood ice cream and cash registers. He knew how many blizzards they sold per day. He knew the profit margin on a vanilla cone. He famously avoided tech stocks for decades, even Microsoft. His best friend Bill Gates ran Microsoft, and Buffett still didn't buy it. Why? He said, I don't know what computers will look like in 10 years. I cannot predict the future of software. So I stay out. He was wrong about tech for a while. Microsoft went up huge. But here's the thing. He was never bankrupt. He never lost his shirt. He just made money slower. And guess what? He's still worth over $100 billion. Here is how you apply this today to save thousands. Rule number 1. If you can't explain it to a 10-year-old, don't buy it. Seriously. Find a 10-year-old. Sit them. Don't. Try to explain what you're investing in. If you stumble, if you use big words, if you get confused, you are the mark. Walk away. If you cannot explain a collateralized debt obligation to a child, you should not own one. If you cannot explain a leveraged ETF to a 5th grader, you should not trade one. Keep it simple. The best investments are boring. Toothpaste companies, utility companies, grocery stores, things people use every day. Rule number 2. Know your idiot ratio. Buffett says, if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't own it for 10 minutes. Ask yourself this question. If the stock market closed for 5 years, would I be happy owning this company? Think about that. No prices. No ticker. No CNBC. Just the business itself. Does it make money? Does it sell things people need? Would you want to be a partner in that business for 5 years? If the answer is no, you are not investing. You are speculating. You are hoping someone dumber than you will pay more tomorrow. That is not a plan. That is a prayer. Let me give you a real-world example. In 2020, the pandemic hit. Everyone was stuck at home. Everyone started using Zoom for meetings. The stock went crazy. It was hot. It was sexy. Everyone wanted in. I asked my students, does Zoom have a moat? A moat means, can anyone compete? Is there a wall around the business that keeps others out? 2 weeks later, Google Meet was free for everyone. Microsoft Teams was bundled with Office. Apple built FaceTime into every phone. Zoom stock crashed 40%, and it kept going down. The people who understood moats saved thousands of dollars. They didn't buy the hype. They asked the simple question, is this a 7-foot bar or a 1-foot bar? Zoom was a 7-foot bar. Too hard. Too risky. Too many competitors? The Buffett rule forces you to be boring, and boring is profitable. Boring is safe. Boring buys the same house for 60 years and eats the same hamburgers. Be boring. Rule 3. Blood in the streets. It's now we get to the hard part. The part where most people lose their minds and lose all their money. Buffett has a second rule. It's famous. You've probably heard it, but you probably don't really understand it. He said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy only when others are fearful. Let me translate that into real English. When the news is screaming crash, when your uncle is crying about his 401k, when your friends are selling everything in a panic, that is the moment to buy. And when your barber gives you a hot stock tip about a spaceship company, when your Uber driver is telling you about crypto, When everyone at the dinner party is bragging about their gains, that is the moment to sell. This is the opposite of what your gut tells you. Your gut is a liar. We are herd animals. Thousands of years of evolution taught us to follow the tribe. If everyone runs, you run. If everyone hides, you hide. That kept us alive from saber-toothed tigers. But the stock market is not a jungle. The stock market rewards the opposite behavior. If everyone is running for the exit, your brain screams, run. But Buffett says buy. If everyone is partying, your brain screams party. But Buffett says sell it is the hardest thing in the world to do. That's why most people fail. Story time. 2008. The financial crisis. Banks were failing. The housing market collapsed. Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. The news was non-stop doom. Every day, another headline about the end of the world. Most investors panicked. They sold everything. They locked in their losses. They moved to cash. They swore they would never buy stocks again. But Warren Buffett, he did the opposite. He wrote an op-ed in the New York Times. The title was by American. I am, he said, a simple rule dictates my buying. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. And right now, everyone is terrified. So I am buying. He bought $5 billion of Goldman Sachs. When everyone else was he bought. He bought Bank of America. He bought General Electric. He bought Harley-Davidson. Yes, the motorcycle company. People called him crazy. They said Buffett is washed up. He's lost his touch. This is the end. Buffett smiled and said, we'll see. Fast forward 5 years. Those investments made him over $10 billion in profit. $10 billion with a B. While everyone else was crying, he was getting rich because he followed the simple rule. Now, how do you do this without being a billionaire? How do you do this with your small account? You automate the rule. You take your emotions out of it completely. Here's what you do. You set up a monthly automatic investment into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. The ticker's Yahoo or SPY or IVV. Pick one. You set it and you forget it. You do not check the price. You do not watch the news. You do not ask your friends what they think. And when the market drops 30%, you do not sell. You do not panic. You buy more. Because stocks are on sale. That's all a crash is. A giant sale at your favorite store. Think about it this way. You'll go to the grocery store every week. You buy chicken. Normally, chicken is $5 a pound. One day, you walk in and chicken is $3 a pound. 30% off. What do you do? Do you run out of the store screaming? Do you sell your chicken? Do you panic? No. You buy a freezer and you fill it up. You buy as much chicken as you can carry. The stock market is the only store in the world where customers run away when prices drop. It makes no sense. But we do it anyway because we are scared. The Buffett rule says buy the sale. Buy when others are fearful. Save thousands by not panicking. Because the market always recovers. Always. It has survived world wars. It has survived depressions. It has survived pandemics. It will survive you. Rule 4. Real world hack. Now I promised you this would save you thousands in life. Not just in stocks. Because the Buffett rule applies to everything. Look at Warren Buffett himself. The man is worth over $100 billion. And he still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He eats at McDonald's every morning. He drives a Cadillac, but only when the dealer has a hail damage sale. He buys his suits off the rack. He calls this the Mrs. B method. Remember the 90-year-old carpet lady? Mrs. B sold carpets for less profit per unit, but she sold huge volume. She saved thousands because she never paid full price for anything. She negotiated everything. She bought at the right time. You need to do the same. Here are 4 real-world hacks. Use them tomorrow. Hack number 1. The 24-hour rule on spending. Buffett says, if you buy things you don't need, you'll soon have to sell things you do need. So here's the rule. Before you buy any non-essential item over $100, you wait 24 hours. Put it in the cart. Walk away. Sleep on it. Come back tomorrow. You will cancel 80% of those purchases. I promise you. That shiny thing you wanted at midnight, at noon, tomorrow. You won't even remember it. This one habit saves you $2,000 a year. That's a flight to Europe. That's a new laptop. That's money in your pocket. Hack number 2. The opportunity cost calculation. Every time you spend money, ask yourself one question. What would this be worth in 20 years? Let me show you the math. That $5 latte you buy every morning, $5 times 365 days. That's $1,825 a year. Now, if you invested that money instead, just put it in an index fund at 8% average return after 30 years. That $5 latte costs you $75,000. $75,000 for coffee. That is not a latte. That is a luxury car you are drinking. That is a down payment on a house you are pouring down your throat. Warren Buffett drinks a $1.50 Dr. Pepper. He is worth $100 billion. There is a lesson there. Hack number 3. The circle of competence for cars. Most people buy the wrong car. They buy the fancy German car with expensive maintenance. They lease a car they cannot afford. They trade in every 3 years and lose thousands. Buffett drives a simple car. He buys used, low mileage, reliable brands, Toyota or Honda. Here's the move. The average new car payment in America is $700 a month. That's insane. Instead, buy a $10,000 used Honda Civic. Pay cash if you can. If not, get a small loan. Then take that $700 a month you saved and invested every single month in an index fund. In 10 years, that $700 a month becomes $120,000. You just turned a car payment into a house down payment. That is the Buffett rule. Hack number 4. Fees are the devil. This one is easy, and it takes 1 hour to fix. Check your bank account. Are you paying a monthly maintenance fee? Many banks charge $10 to $15 a month just to hold your money. That's $180 a year for nothing. Switch to a no-fee online bank. Ally, SoFi, Charles Schwab. There are dozens. Next, check your retirement account. Look at the expense ratio. That's the fee the fund charges you every year. If it's higher than 0.20%, you are getting ripped off. Move your money to a low-cost index fund. That 1 hour of work saves you $5,000 over a decade. $5,000 for 1 hour. That's $5,000 an hour. That's better than any job you will ever have. Do it today. Rule 5. The dark side, we have to stop the cheerleading for a moment. Because if this rule was easy, everyone would be rich, and they aren't. Here is the dark side of the Buffett rule. It requires a stomach of iron. It requires nerves of steel. It requires you to do nothing while everyone else is losing their mind. And doing nothing is the hardest thing in the world. Let me tell you a story. In 1973, Buffett bought the Washington Post. He paid $10 million for a big stake in the company. The very next day, the stock dropped. Then it dropped again. Then it kept dropping. Within 2 years, Buffett was down nearly 50%. His $10 million was worth about $5 million. His investors called him an idiot. They said newspapers are dying. They said you're old and out of touch. They said sell before you lose everything. Buffett did nothing. He held. He did not sell a single share. Over the next 30 years, that $10 million turned into over $1 billion. $1 billion. But here is the question you have to ask yourself. Could you do that? Could you watch your $50,000 become $25,000 and not sell? Could you watch your retirement account get cut in half and just sit on your hands? Most people can't. Most people check their app every hour. They see. Their heart races. Their palms sweat. They panic. They sell at the very bottom. And then they watch the market come back without them. And they swear they'll never do it again. And then they do it again. And again. And again. This is why most people fail. Not because they're stupid. Because they're human. Here is the psychological hack. And this is critical. Buffett does not have a Bloomberg terminal in his bedroom. He does not watch CNBC every morning. He does not check his stock price every hour. He has a bookshelf. He reads annual reports. He checks his stocks once a month, maybe once a quarter. If you want to save thousands, you have to stop looking at the scoreboard. Turn off the news. Delete the stock app from your phone. Stop checking your portfolio every 5 minutes. The market is a voting machine in the short term. That means prices go up and down based on emotions, fear, greed, panic, euphoria. But in the long term, the market is a weighing machine. It measures real value. Hell! Earnings. Real profits. If you check every day, you will go crazy. If you check every month, you will be fine. Here's the second dark side. You have to be okay with being average for a long time. If you buy the S&P 500 index fund, you will never be the cool guy at the party. You will never be the guy who bought Bitcoin at $100 and sold at $60,000. But you also will never be the guy who bought Bitcoin at $60,000 and sold at $20,000. Buffett rule gets you rich slowly. Very slowly. Boring. Slowly is boring, but slowly works. Remember the fable of the tortoise and the hare? The stock market is full of hares. Fast traders, crypto Bruce. Options, gamblers, day traders, leverage junkies, and every single decade, the tortoise wins. Every single time. Be the tortoise. Rule 6. The 3-step blueprint. Let's stop talking theory. Let's get practical. If you turn off this video right now, here is your exact 3-step blueprint. Do these 3 things, and you will save thousands. Guaranteed. Step 1. Audit your friction. Log into your 401k log, into your IRA. Log into your brokerage account. Look for the expense ratio. That is the annual fee you are paying. It is usually listed as a tiny percentage. If that number is higher than 0.20%, you are paying too much. Move your money to a low-cost index fund, VTI, for a total stock market. V, 4S, and P500. Both have expense ratios below 0.05%. Do not ask a broker for permission. Do not call the help desk. Just do it online. It takes 10 minutes. This is your money. You worked for it. Stop giving it away to rich people in suits. Step 2. Write down your circle. Take a piece of paper, a real piece of paper. Draw a circle in the middle. Inside that circle, write the 3 industries you understand better than anyone else. Maybe it's restaurants. You know food. You know service. You know what makes a good taco shop? Maybe it's software. You are a programmer. You know code. You know which companies have good products. Maybe it's real estate. You own a house. You know about mortgages and rent and maintenance. Write those 3 industries inside the circle. Now, here is the rule. You are only allowed to invest in those 3 things, nothing else. If a stock falls outside that circle, you are forbidden from buying it. No exceptions. 0. This one rule saves you from FOMO. Fear of missing out. FOMO is the most expensive emotion in finance. It makes you buy high and sell low. It makes you chase hot tips. It makes you broke. Stay in your circle. Step 3. Set the Buffett alarm. Write this sentence on a sticky note. Put it on your computer monitor. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it on your refrigerator. When the news is scary, I buy. When the news is happy, I hold. Read it every morning. Live by it. Then set a calendar reminder on your phone for the first day of every month. Every single month. For the rest of your life. On that day, you buy a fixed amount of your index fund. $100. $500. Whatever you can afford. But the same amount every month, rain or shine. Crash or boom, panic or euphoria. You do not skip a month. When the market is up, you buy. When the market is down, you buy more. This is called dollar cost averaging. It is not sexy. It is not exciting. But it turns you into a millionaire. If you do these 3 things for 20 years, statistically, you will beat 90% of professional money managers. 90%. Not because you are smart. Not because you have a secret. Not because you watch the news. Because you are disciplined. Because you follow the rule. Because you are boring. And that, right there, is the Buffett rule. Part 8. Conclusion led me. Bring it back to Mrs. B, the 90-year-old carpet lady in Omaha. When Warren Buffett asked her for her secret, she didn't talk about algorithms. She didn't talk about short squeezes. She didn't talk about technical analysis, she said. I tell my customers the truth. I am not the cheapest, but I am the best value. And I will be here tomorrow. That is the only investment strategy that has ever worked for 100 years. Buy value. Ignore the noise. Stay in the game. You don't need to be a genius to save thousands. You don't need a finance degree. You don't need a Bloomberg terminal. You just need to be boring enough to follow one simple rule. Low fees. Circle of competence. Buy when others are fearful. That's it. Warren Buffett is 93 years old. He has seen 15 recessions. He has seen wars and pandemics and crashes and bubbles and panics, and he is still sitting in that same office in Omaha, Nebraska. New Wow Street. New skyscraper. No private jet to the office. He is buying American businesses. He is holding forever. He never sold. Neither should you. Your future self will thank you. Your retirement account will thank you. Your kids will thank you. So start today. Audit your fees. Draw your circle. Set your alarm. Be boring. Be patient. Be hishy.